Okay, so hello again, guys. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, so just wait 1 more minute. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so maybe some of you went to comfort room just to have a pee. And to those who haven't ate their lunch yet, okay, so please eat your lunch now so that you have your energy, okay, to listen to our discussion. So eat while listening. So while waiting, do you guys have a question so far or clarification?
Doon, sir. Di naman, sir. Wala. So far, parang throwback siya sa programming nung first year, yung flowcharts.
Flowchart, para siyang pseudo coding.
Logarithm.
Logarithm yun, right?
Yeah.
Well, ito, more in ka naman tayo, general flowchart, not more on programming. So you guys must have fully understood how to create a black diagram and then how to create a flowchart, since you're going to use that one for your final project. Okay, so these are your stepping stones on how to create a system. Okay, so the only part that you're going to miss is the creation, or the on how to create it step by step using a breadboard. Okay, and of course, will it really work? Okay, so having a flowchart and black diagram is not enough. Okay, so that is the idea. That is your uh, goal. Okay, you must have this input, this output, this process, and etc. etc. Okay, but will it happen on the actual circuit or on your actual system? So that is the main question. Okay. So supposedly this will be our basis as we test your uh, say project, okay, or your design. But since we won't be able to do that one, then everything is just like ideas. Okay, everything is like a dream. Okay, so this is like a perfect system that you're creating, but haven't really tested it in reality. It's really working or not. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm guessing that most of you are here already. So let us now continue our discussion. All right, so here's the next guideline. So again, you must have start and finish symbol. Okay, so of course it must be in a logical order. Okay, so you must have a start, but sometimes you can or you don't have a finish. Okay, in some cases, your system will not end unless you really going to plug the system. Okay, so it will just keep on looping. So that is why it's okay not to have a finish part. And in some cases, you can have multiple finish or terminator. Okay, you can have two, you can have three, but only one start. Okay, so that is the one thing that you need to uh, take note when it comes to creating closure. All right, so the next one here is test the validity of the flowchart by passing through it with a simple test data. Okay, so supposedly, you're going to do this one, test the validity, if you already have your project, okay, if you already have your system. But since we won't be able to, do this one, then we will just test it by using a dummy inputs and then of course a dummy output. Okay, so it's like your own creation. For if this is the input and then this is also the output. Anyway, so we have here some simple flowcharts. So as you guys can see, we have here the start, and then we have here the manual input. Okay, so this is the shape for manual inputs. So here, a human is the one who's going to input the data. So we have M1, M2, M3, and then M4. So we have a process here wherein after the human inputted the data or four data, M1 to M4, the system now is going to calculate for the grade. Okay, so just a simple computation. So it's an averaging. So this the summation of those inputs and then divided to its count of inputs. So divided by 4. So in that case, you'll be able to solve for his or her grade. So for example, if the grade is less than 60, so if it's yes, then print fail. But if it's no, then print pass. So after they done in computing your grade, so it will end the computation or the work of your system, right? Okay, so you can say that this is like a work of a system wherein we instructors are just going to input your grade, okay, and then we'll let the system to compute for your grade, right? So this is one very short or very small example in terms of flowcharts. We have another example here with the use of loopings. So if you are still familiar with do while loop, so here's how it's being done using a flowchart. Okay, so it will do the task first, and then next one here is the condition. So if it's true, then it will go back. If it's false, then it will end the process. And then for the while loop, we have this process. So start and then verification right away. So condition, is it true? Do the task and then we'll go back. If it's false, then it will end the system. All right. So this is how you create a loop. Okay. So possible, make it as short as possible. All right. So you don't want to have a very long line. Okay. Like on this task, and then it will go back onto the very first condition. Well, it's still possible, but if that is the case, then you must use a connector already. All right. So you can do this one if it's short, like 2 symbols only. But if we have, let's say, 10 symbols already, and then it will go back to the topmost process, then you must use a connector already. Right? So that connector that I'm talking about is this one. So like, for example, we have a loop here. It will go back at the very start. So just use a connector. So letter A and then going back here. Okay, so in that case, you're going to have a more neat flowchart. All right. So here's another example wherein with the use of a connector. So we have a connector here. Yeah, just the connector. And then we have off-page connector. Okay, so nothing's new. So we have manual input of data, decision, and then the rest are processes. Okay, so as you guys can see right here, we have an off-page connector. So meaning the next process is on the next page. All right, so another page again, and then we have another flowchart. Okay, so if you're going to use this kind of connector, meaning that or the continuation of this process is still in that page. Okay, but if it's on the other page already, then you must use an off-page connector. Right, and then here is just with the use of situation, okay, or decision rather. So that's this item spark joy for me. So no, yes, you can even have another decision here, blah blah blah, etc. etc. Okay. So in here, throw away and then keep only. All right, and then here's another thing that you can use. So those two are okay. Okay, so you can use diamond. Okay, so that's your triangle. I don't know, but I'll just call this one diamond. So you can use diamond or the decision symbol to have decisions. Of course, you have yes or no, but you can also use the split path. Okay, wherein we have the process and then we have split path here. Here. Okay, so we have yes and then no. So both of them are correct. Okay. So this is just an example on how to use a split path. All right. So any questions so far up to this point?
Nope.
None, sir.
All right. So I've just added an activity. So here, this is just a simple activity. So using a flowchart, display a series of numbers in which each number, say a Fibonacci number, is the sum of the two preceding numbers. So I guess you guys already know what is a Fibonacci sequence or Fibonacci number. So starting from 1, and then will be followed by 1. So 0 plus 1 is 1, and then 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, 8 plus 5 is 13, etc., etc. But in this uh, activity, so display the following sequence only. Okay, so 1, 2, 8 only. So I would like you guys to create a flowchart of this one. Right? So take note, the output must be up to 8 only. Okay, so maybe the one that you might find on the internet is the infinite loop. Okay, like it keeps on adding and adding and adding. But in here, up to 8 only, so that we have a starting point and then an ending point. Right? So are we clear with your activity number 1?
Yep. Yes, sir.
So again, you can use any tool or any software that you can find on the internet. So you can use Lucidchart, SmartDraw, Draw.io. Okay, so any of those. Even Visha. So Visha, I just found that Visha is also a good tool when it comes to creating flowchart. And for your laboratory number 3 and 4, okay, so you guys have already created the black diagram of this one. So I would like you guys to create a flowchart of your lab 1 and lab number 2. Okay. So again, lab 1 is the traditional way, and then lab 2 is the online uh, way of enrollment or online system. Okay. So I would like you guys to create a flowchart of that one. All right.
Sir, question about lab 1 and 2.
Mhm.
How specific do you want us to be? Like, should we just implement the most important parts of the process? Or would you prefer that we include the
You
not so
can,
necessary?
if you can include all of the possible features, I mean, all of the possible things that will happen, then please include it. Pero kung sa tingin mo, hindi naman siya, if you think that it is not that important, include to your flowchart or your block diagram, then you can also remove that one. But my way of checking or grading your laboratories is the more that I'm satisfied or the more that it's super complete, the better. Okay, the higher the grade. If I think that you'll be needing this one upon your enrollment or upon enrolling in the UC, then you're going to have a deduction, of course.
Sige, sir.
Okay, so that is why you must know, okay, step by step. So just imagine yourself standing in front of UC. So what is your first step, okay, that you will do? First, we go to UC State Department, right, to get the clearance. Then after that, check the say the grades. If you pass this one, then you can enroll this subject. If you fail, then you must retake the subject. Okay, so you must have those kind of uh, situations. Okay, and then you will now go here, blah blah blah, to cashier to pay, and then you'll get your call this one your form, your white form, and then end. Okay. So if you guys can still think of a thing or a process that you need to add, then please add it. Right? So yeah. that's actually it for the flowchart. So any other concerns so far?
None, sir.
None, sir.
None,
All
sir.
right. So I just would like to show this one to you guys. So since we are still in week one, so I've included the PDF of this one under week one. So you now have two modules under week one, okay, black diagram and flowchart. So just download this one for you to have your own copy. And for module overview for week one, so before it's just about black diagram, but right now I've added uh, the topic learning outcomes for flowchart and then topics for the flowchart and another video materials. One more thing, I forgot to include here the lecture presentation. So later on, I'll include here the module 2 flowchart PDF. But in here, I've added, okay, five. I've added five additional, no, one, two, three, yeah, five only, five videos. So in here, just an introduction, on how to create a flowchart. And in here, how to create a flowchart using an Excel. Okay. And another one here is how to create a flowchart using a Microsoft Word. Okay. And then another one here is how to create a flowchart using SmartDraw, which maybe some of you or most of you have used during your tab 1 and 2. And then another one here is the flowchart using a draw.io. Okay. So this one is actually in Tagalog. Okay. But I guess even you can't understand Tagalog, you'll be able to understand the way this person is, explaining things when it comes to creating flowchart. So he used draw.io. So to those who haven't used draw.io yet, I encourage you guys to visit this one. Okay. So in terms of usability, so yeah, it's on par with Smart Draw and Lucid Chart. And this one is a lot better because you don't need to create an account anymore. All right, so this one is for free. You can export it without having an account. And another reading materials here, wherein this is just a cheat sheet, wherein all of the symbols are in here, or maybe not all, but most of the symbols that you're going to use when it comes to creating a flowchart is in here, right? And then the next one here is I think this is the guideline in creating a flowchart, a 2-page PDF. Process. Yeah. So let's say you want to create a project. So these are some of the guidelines that you can read. Okay, to base. So when to use a flowchart, how flowcharts are constructed. Like these are more on the fundamentals. Okay, if you want to learn more on how to create a flowchart, and then I've added. Think only one. Yeah, I've added only one. Okay, which is the paradigm. Okay, so this is actually one of the most complete website that I have visited when it comes to tutorials in creating a flowchart. So in here, all of the symbols are discussed, of course, and some examples. And where's that one? I guess I wasn't able to include the other website. So I'll just include it later on. I have found a website wherein there's already a lot of ready-made templates. Okay, like if you need this template in this certain system, we have it. Like for medical, school, what else? Computations, yeah, like for grades, etc. So there's actually a lot of category and it's editable. Okay. So I'll just include that one later on. So I forgot to put it on the references. Right. And I've also updated the watch videos, so you can visit some of the video tutorials in here. And here. So if you want to practice in creating flowchart, or uh, making a flowchart, so you can visit this site, flowcharts for practical tasks. So in here, this one's like the short introduction about flowcharts. So start and process and then decision. So you guys can see it only introduced 3 symbols, because basically just by having those 3 symbols, you can already create any kind of system or flowchart. And we have here the exercises, wherein we have the instruction here on how to really move a certain object. Like you have to click this one first before you can move it on the text box. So it says here, where is that one? Try putting the word bed in the blue boxes. So B, E, and D, and then you have to check it right here. So yeah, so this is a practice area wherein you can learn the step-by-step process. Okay, so we have here the question, and then here are some of the options that you can place on the processes, etc., etc. Okay, and then you can check it right. Of course, it will give you some feedbacks, and then try again, meaning there are incorrect answers. Okay, so just try answering them. Okay, so it's actually quite fun. It's like your what do you call this one? Brain exercise in creating a flowchart, something like that. All right, so visit this one for you guys to practice. And here's where you can submit your laboratory number 3 and then 4. So nothing new, you guys already know this one. And then I have added again another case study. So very good, guys. Your comments on the case study number 1 is impressive. Okay, so I like your answers. And for the case number 2, so this one is super simple. So now you've learned on how to use a block diagram and flowchart. So knowing that they have their own advantages and disadvantages, in which particular situation we're going to use a block diagram and a flowchart. So give a scenario and state the advantages and disadvantages of using a block diagram over the flowchart, or vice versa. Okay, so in here, just give me a situation, or give a situation wherein block diagram is much preferable over flowchart. Okay, and then another situation wherein flowchart is much more preferable in terms of explaining things over block diagram. Okay, so your own idea. Okay, so do not look the advantages and disadvantages on the internet. So it must be with your own experience. So I think when it comes to block diagram, I've experienced that this one is a lot easier when it comes to blah blah blah, and the same with the flowchart. This one is a lot easier when it comes to following the process, blah blah blah. Okay, so just put here your thoughts. Okay, so again, the earlier the better, since the longer that you'll wait for you to put your answer here, the more uh, ideas that is already mentioned on this threaded discussion. So yeah, that is it for another case study number 2. And we're done. So any clarification so far or questions?
Seems clear so far, sir.
Okay, so I forgot to include here the activity number 1, wherein you can submit the activity number 1. So later on, I will update this one. All right, so if you guys do not have a question anymore, then you guys may now go and have a happy lunch. Okay, if you guys haven't eaten your lunch yet.
Thank you, sir.
All right,
Yes, sir.
so
Bye, sir.
goodbye, and again, thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. So see you guys next meeting.
Bye, sir.
See you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Goodbye.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Right.
Bye,
Bye, sir.
sir.
Goodbye.
Ay, alis na pala ako, sir. By the way, sir,
Yes.
laki ng improvement mo sa lectures. Appreciate it.
Oo, kasi nung una pa lang, to be honest, nung kabibigay sa amin yung yung canvas, yung ganito ganyan. Syempre, kinakapa ko pa lahat. Lahat naman yata ating nangangapa eh. So, nahihirapan ako kung paano ko ba ituturo to, paano ba yan, wala akong blackboard. Yun, mas nasanay kasi ako nagdo-drawing minsan. Anyway, so yeah.
I think so far, you're the instructor with the most resources in Canvas.